So at one place I was working, I was training a new group of managers, and one of them said to me, Louise, I really need your help. I was like, okay, yep, what do you need? Tell me, we'll work this out together. What do you need? And they went, I don't know how to stop my team complaining. I was like, aha, okay. So they said that all they felt happened was that their team complained all the time. They felt that their team was ungrateful. They felt that their team was very privileged. They felt that their team just took everything for granted, and it was getting to a point where they felt alienated away from the rest of their team. They felt that there was this very us and them culture starting to be built, and the new manager, they didn't know what to do with it. They were completely overwhelmed with it, understandably, and just didn't know where to start on it. And it is a big issue. I've been in companies before where I've been brought in to look at how to improve operational efficiency, improve how things are working for client side and teams. I've walked in, and literally within the first week I'm like, okay, no one is happy, no one's got a good thing to say, everybody's complaining about something. Where do I start? And I think that's something that I remember thinking when this person was telling me about this problem was, you can't fix it all in one go, and you have to find where to start first. And I think that's really important, to just be able to go, okay, there's a lot here and I can't do it all. If I try and fix all of it, I'm going to do it at a very shallow level. I'm going to chip away just a little bit there. I'm going to take one layer back of the onion. Whereas if I try and figure out what is causing the complaining and give it some prioritization, then I can focus on the thing that's causing the most complaining, which is the biggest problem for the team. Because that's why people complain. They're not happy about something. Something's not working, or they're not happy about something, or they've been impacted by something. It's very personal, and that's where we get complaints from, because we're not happy about something. Imagine if you'd gone to a restaurant and your dinner turned up half-eaten and cold. You would complain because you weren't happy. And it's the same in work. So we need to figure out what's making people complain. So rather than, like I say, try and do it all and taking one layer of the onion off, we chop through it, straight through it, and we have a look. We open it right up. We see all the layers. We try and figure out what's what. And then from there, we can take a piece of the onion and focus on that specific bit. So some ways to do this. This is what I was speaking to the new manager about. It was like, do your team, are they coming into the office soon? Are they going to have an in-person workshop day? Because they're a hybrid company that I'm working with. Or do they do it on Zoom? Like, how are you working? Unfortunately, they were going to have a team building day soon. So I was like, great, let's piggyback on that. Let me see your agenda. Let's have a look at it. Because to be honest, none of this stuff on the agenda is going to get done until you solve this problem over here, because no one wants to hear it. Everybody is in that place of, what about me? What does it mean for me? And they're not happy. Before we can do any of this stuff over here, which was more about vision planning for the future, needed to solve the issues around what was making the team unhappy to start with. One way we can do this is the sailboat exercise that I love. I find it really useful. I've used it in a lot of different companies and a lot of different scenarios, amongst other things, but this one I find is a real go-to for me, and it always gets a really good reception. And the sailboat, I'll pop it on screen in a second, but the sailboat is exactly what it says it is a picture of a boat. So you've got your boat, you've got your sea, and then you've got Paradise Island, and you've got this anchor coming down from the boat, and you've got some wind behind the sails, and that's the thing that's pushing the boat forward. And what I asked everybody in the team to do was, and this depends on how big your team is as well, obviously you might have to break it down into smaller sections, but in essence, what I asked the team to do was, everybody had post-it notes, everybody had Sharpies, post-it notes, everybody had sort of different mix of different colours, so it wasn't just, like John over there had green, so everybody knew that was John's. Everybody had different mix of colours. We can give everybody the same colour if you want, whatever works for you. I would set a timer and put some nice background music on and give everybody 5 minutes in silence to write down all the things that they thought were good at the moment. So ask them all the things that they thought were going well. So that could have been in their team, in the business, on a client project, a piece of software, a new product we were using, anything they just thought was going well at the moment. Write each one down on a single post-it note. Then put them to one side. I would repeat that again. It's another timer in silence. Key is silence here. And I would ask them to write down all the things that could be improved at the moment. So what are the anchors weighing us down on the ship? What's not going so well for us? And again, one thing per post-it note. And sometimes these stacks of post-it notes would be rather big. By the end of it, they would far outweigh the ones that were with the wind beneath the sails, which were the good ones. But just getting it down, putting it all down. And then what I would ask them to do is have a think about, what does Paradise Island look like? So that was the island that we're sailing towards. Like when we get there, what do we want it to look like? Like what does that end goal look like for us? And that's me basically saying to them is, what do you need to see to make you happy, to make you stop complaining? Like what is the thing that you want that we can figure out and see if it's feasible, because it's not always feasible either, to be realistic here too. But what is it? Let's take a look at it. So they would do that, again, 5 minutes in silence. And then the last thing would be risks. So these were the rocks in the sea that you couldn't see. It's risks. What are potentially going to come up, but you don't know if they're going to come up. What potential problems are going to be there? Might have been a law change, product was coming out, there was a competitor, who knows? So there could have been anything like that. What I would ask people to do was, one at a time, we'd go through each section of the board. So we'd start with the wind beneath our sails first, which was the good bit. Ask people to bring their post-it notes up, put their post-it note on the wall, underneath that section of the drawing, and just give a real quick 30-second explanation of what that post-it note was, because sometimes you can't always read everybody's writing, and also people can't necessarily see what's on the post-it note depending on how close to the board they are, and it also gave that person a voice. But what this allowed everybody to do was everybody to actually get their own thoughts out, because if I would have just jumped straight into, hey, give me something you don't think's working, and popped it up there, and someone else disagreed with that, it might have opened up into a bigger conversation that I didn't want to happen because I wanted everybody to focus on the task. But secondly, that other person might not disagree because it was a public forum, depending on the person, the personality. So by asking everybody to come up, putting their post-it notes on the good, great, everybody got some good stuff. And it also reminded people of actually some of the good stuff that we do have that we just forget about when we're in that state of unhappiness. So then we would do the same for the rest. So we would do the anchors next. You know, what was weighing us down? What was slowing us down? What were the bad points? And then people would put their post-it notes up again, 30 seconds each to read them out. And then you'd start to probably get themes. I always did anyway, so could always find some themes. So as people were doing, I'd be moving stuff around a little bit, you know, shuffling things around, like, okay, that's to do with that, or that's to do with the customer service line over here, that's obviously causing some pain. Communication was really bad, so just different things. So you'd be able to find themes so you could start grouping them together. Once you'd done all four, once everybody got it all out, I then used to use dot voting exercises to have a look at what was the priority. So if we go back to the onion, so rather than going, right, oh my God, there's all these problems over here that I need solving, how am I going to do it? It's not going to work. You're going to have a very high level. So again, we just think about onion slicing. So we've sliced the onion open, we've got it all out, we can see it all now. Now we need to pick the bit that we're going to work on. And it's really important here because when we're unhappy, we need to feel empowered to become happier again. We need to feel like we're being heard and we're being listened to in order to get that feeling of, okay, they've listened to me, they've heard me, I feel better now. Think about when you've got a problem and you get it off your chest, you feel better for someone just to hear it. And it's the same. What you do here is you've got your themes and you give everybody 5 dots each. There's those little circle dots that you get on sticky sheets. And everybody gets 5. Again, multicolours, don't give people specific colours. We don't want to know who's voting for what. It's just everybody's got 5 dots and that's it. And then you have all the problems listed on the board. And what you can do with that then is set the timer, and you might want to give this 10 minutes just so people can take their time and have a read. You can spread them out if they're quite clustered. You can spread them out across a bigger wall, depending on how many people you've got as well, so that people aren't all just huddled around reading each other's and seeing what everybody else is posting. But give everybody 10 minutes on a timer again. Play some nice background music again and ask them again in silence. This bit's again key because you don't want anybody influencing anybody else. This needs to be from themselves. In silence, put your dots on of what you think is the biggest problem at the moment. What's the thing that's causing the most pain? What's the thing that needs solving first? And they can put all 5 dots on one thing if they want. If they think it's that important, they can put all 5 on one. Or they could put 3 on one and 2 on another, or 1 on each. They could disperse them, distribute them however they want. And once they've done that, you should start to see clusters of dots. And you should start to get a feel for what is the most prominent problem for the team. Now, if you've got some tiebreakers, you can just take those, and if there's like just a couple of dots in it and they're both quite, important, you could always just do the dot voting again with just those 2 and say, right, they're really close. Hear you that they're both a problem at the moment, but we can't look at both things at the same time. It's not going to work. Let's pick one. So then you do the dot voting again and you get one problem. So you have your problem now. Excellent. But now you need your solution. And the solution can't just come from you. It needs to come from the team. So, you guessed it, more post-it notes, more time in silence, and timer on the clock and some nice music in the background. And what we'll do here now is actually get everybody to write down what are potential solutions. What would they like to see? And I've seen this framed in different ways, like how might we's, how could we's, loads of different ways, but it's a good way to think about it in terms of how might we solve this problem? How might we improve the help desk system we're using, for example? I think that was actually a real one I had once. How might we have less meetings so we have more focused time on coding? Different things like that. So everybody would write down solutions. And what this does is this helps people realise that actually just complaining about the problem isn't enough. They actually need to think about a solution as well. So you've got a 2-part thing here. You've got them thinking about the solution and understanding that it's not just an easy fix. I mean, if you can find an easy fix, great, go for it, good luck to you. But it's not just an easy fix, it does take time, and you're not here just to fix all their problems for them. They are very much a part of this team, and it's not up to you to think and guess what could be the right solution, to try it, to then be told, no, that's not the right solution. Instead, ask them, crowdsource the solutions from your team. They are the ones who are not happy, so they have the ideas on how to put it right. So once you've done that, again, you put them all back on the board, everybody talks through them, and then you can dot vote again for the best solution. Now, you might have a couple of solutions here. You might want to have a think about them, because you might have solutions that just aren't feasible, or they're really going to take a lot of effort and a lot of time to do that maybe you can't afford right now. So once you've got your maybe top 3, 4, 5 solutions, you can always do the impact and effort map. So I'll pop it on screen now too. So you would pick up the solution and you would put it on this axis. So you've got your impact and then you've got your effort. So the amount of effort it would take is it's going to take more effort, and how much impact is it going to have. And then from that, you'll be able to figure out what might be the best solution to start with. For example, if something's really high effort but it's very low impact, you've got to question whether it's worth it. Whereas if it's a lower effort and really high impact, then, well, great, get going. If it's high effort and high impact, it still might be worth doing. So it's just trying to find out what's going to be worth the investment, the time. It might require people, it might require new things, budget, you just don't know. So you need to have a look at that too. But what this is doing is asking the team how they want it to work, how they want to solve the problem. And from there, what I've done previously with teams is actually go, okay, we've all agreed the solution. Who's going to head it up? And see who's going to take a lead on it. And usually somebody would come forward and I would work with them on this, or it might be a couple of us who would work with them on, and then we would trial it. Before you go, can you do me a quick favour and like and subscribe? This is a new channel, so any help to grow and share it would be appreciated. Don't forget to comment below and let me know if there's anything else you'd like to see. And if you know someone who could benefit from this video, don't keep it a secret, share it with them via the share button. Thanks.